Wow.
Yes.
What a beautiful gathering.
Yay.
Appreciators of poetry and the written word and the power of connection through the written word. What an amazing space that we were so generously given by Kate and John. Thank you so much. My goodness. Yeah, let's get another round of applause. While they're right in the middle, I really want to put them on the spot. You know, I mean, I could not have really imagined such a fantastic gathering of friends, members of our fellow community of writers, and it's really special to me. So tonight we are so extraordinarily fortunate to have 6 of our amazing writers, memoirists, poets, who just really epitomize everything that CavanKerry seeks to publish, which is work that connects deeply from the heart of the writer to the heart of the reader, work that affects change on an individual level and radiates out in such a positive, transformational way to the communities and the people who are fortunate enough to read and be exposed to our author's work. It is really the dream, the goal that Joan had to begin with when she put together this beautiful place of a press. I call it a place. It's not just a thing, it's not just a company, it's a place for everyone to be heard and to be recognized and honored in our humanity, and to share it in such a really deep way. And so it's my honor to introduce everyone. So thank you so much for coming. I hope you get as much out of it as we do. It's really an absolute privilege to be a part of it. So thank you.
Woo.
And I will say, I don't have the schedule, so I don't know who's up first. Is it Katie? Is it Dimitri?
I'm up first.
All right, Dimitri. I'm going to pass it to the MC so he can save me from this part. Thank you all. I'm so grateful for you for being here and for everything you do.
Gabriel, please with everyone. So, good evening, everyone. I'm Dimitri Reyes, the marketing and communication. Thank you, my lovely fans. The marketing and communications director here at CavanKerry Press, and it is a blessing for all of us to be here and gathered together. A blessing, if you want to call it a blessing in a press of that. So we're gonna have we have 6 readers. We have a band tonight. And we also have an open mic portion for all of us to hear from the great community that's in the room. We're gonna have 3 readers first, the first one being Harry. And then after that, we will be going over to Kari, and then after that, we will be going over to Katie before intermission while the band sets up. So give a round of applause for the first 3 readers. But first, I'll speak about Harriet Levin Millan. Prize-winning poet and writer, Harriet Levin is the author of 3 books of poetry, The Christmas Show, which won the Bernard New Woman Poets Prize and also won the Alice Faye de Castagnola Prize from the Poetry Society of America, Girl in Cap and Gown, a National Poetry Series finalist and a Pew Fellowship in the Arts Discipline winner, and My Oceanography, her book by CavanKerry Press. She is also the author of a novel, How Fast Can You Run? Her poems are published widely and have appeared in leading journals such as the Iowa Review. Plowshares, the Kenya Review, and most recently in Narrative Magazine, Judith, and One Art. Everyone, please welcome Harriet to the stage.
Okay, wow, I have to take a deep breath after that. Thank you everyone. This is just a miracle. Can you hear me? Is this good?
Yes.
Okay, I'm just going to get right into it. I'm going to read a poem from my CavanKerry book, my oceanography. 3 things you have to know. I wrote the book in response to the art of sculptor Eva Hess. She's a Holocaust survivor. She came to America on the Kindertransport when she was 5. She died when she was 34 from the polymers that she used to make her sculpture, and she got brain cancer. And she was married to another artist, a sculptor who was very famous, and she did not really come into her own until after she divorced him. Of course, I was married to an artist who was really famous and did the same thing to me, and that's how I found the connection. A reviewer called this book, Me Too, Furies on Fire. Up the down road. I know that you know I'm the better artist, but you had me convinced that you were better. You had the bigger studio, the fellowship, the windows facing the rainbow. The sky turned ultraviolet after the tornado. Weather too bestowed upon you prizes, gave you the retina of an oriole while I got shook. Fish nibbled at my feet, big pucker fish in water too murky to see their stripes, and it rained. I remembered to grab a tree trunk and hug it, get down on the deck with bits of leaves peppered flat to it, the wind dancing itself into a frenzy, tapping me like the drunk at a party, his mismatched socks showing. Yet, holding a fellowship marked you as someone to watch. In that way, we were the same. Only I was the one shoplifting sable hairbrushes at Utrecht because they were too expensive. Even with my in-state tuition reduction. You were on a stipend, you said, that could afford you luxuries. Hand mannequins, oil-primed linen, sea salt-infused chocolates, exotic fruit plates heaped with mangoes. At open studios, Dominique and Levy, friends of the department head, walked in and bid for your paintings, whispered at their altar, while I scrambled eggs with piri-piri powder, scattered shells in our compost, preparing you a welcome like the first meal the pilgrims ate at Plymouth, after disembarking and setting their feet down on land. I still love to cook. You could not sour my tongue, my meat, or my bones. Despite my hand racing to record all the phases of our breakup in charcoal, this cold spring among willows, before stuffing my clothes inside a suitcase, snapping its jaws shut and wheeling it into the night. Ring around the rosy. This sculpture, it's a big target. It's called Ring Around the Rosy. You targeted me and forced my extinction, drew circles around the parts of my body where you dared to aim, my neck, my wrists, my breasts. How could I escape your asteroid come hurtling? Too much of my history is etched in stone. Like lichen or mica, you subsumed even my shadow and sealed over the crevices where I roamed. You drove long stretches of highway and read my desires in strip mining, my sins exposed, determining where to dig into the sediments repository of old arguments. Jaw hardened, fists banging down, you did not say wait or anything else that broke into words of love, because you wanted to render a bee's hover and extract my DNA. Your artist's eye trained on the darkest nights, nothing but a chisel to pick away. Standing on top of that airless promontory, bending over the rift to find a trace, measure my primitive atmosphere, preserve my dusky voice under glass. I was in LA during the wildfires. My daughter is an actor, a co-star on The Pit, and she asked me to come babysit for our grandson. So we had to evacuate. and we were in a rental house, so we went to Laguna Beach. So I'm going to read a couple poems that I just wrote in LA.
Yes.
It's
New
called,
shit! New shit!
and it's called Let Yourself Go, because that's kind of like how we felt. You know, we were running around, people were losing everything. So, let yourself go. Like ginkgo gunk that sticks under everyone's shoes. Does everyone know what ginkgo, like the trees? I live in Philadelphia, the trees are everywhere, they're all over the street, they're vomit, you bring it into the house. Okay. Like ginkgo gunk that sticks under everyone's shoes. Like the rips in the Monstera plant's leaves, like Swiss cheese. To see the art in the Frankenstein painting above the couch. The one I looked at and looked at without moving the day I found out about my brother's suicide. And Frankenstein, all shirtless and sweaty, in Port-au-Prince 90 degrees swelter, led me across splintered boards to the cool, dark storage room where he stacked his canvases. His depictions of spirals and circling spirals doubled over sidewalks, schoolyards, no less violent in the aftermath, to just lord the bookcase, like the velvet-leafed philodendron cascading its beauty, touching the spines of books it will never read, collecting them only to have them. What the Japanese called sondoko, letting even the mail pile up. The bills, the birthday cards, the catalogs, the medical reports, the mail slots so thick with envelopes it gets stuck. No one's hand can reach through. I don't want to. And it isn't that the news is only bad. Sometimes it's glittering, jeweled like a butterfly's wings, having alighted from continents away, which is how I often sense anxiety fluttering around me. To merely take up space, or even a corner, like the lamp with the broken circuitry, the not-so-current charts, its trapezoid shade torn where it hit the banister and split. I merely turned it to face the wall so no one would notice. Good as new, I stupidly pronounced, even when my niece cried in my arms, and once again after her surgery, bruised and blue, when I should have just held her and wept. To not insist on standing upright, but to slant like the roof, to weather like bricks, to remain undone the way the column on the second floor of my house is only half tiled in mirrors, the Sagrada Familia's rib vaults breathing in smoke, saving it from collapse during the Spanish Civil War. Flying buttresses, the buried underwater system that triggers a tsunami warning, sending so much love. The driveway needs sweeping, my plants need watering, I tend to forget. Falling into sleep tungsten heavy, like the scantest drop of oil to endure. Sending so much love. A morning of playing with colored ping pong balls with the baby and sweeping leaves off the patio from storms moving across the country like pets in cargo. The baby is too young to recognize his face in the mirror. He points and stares at his reflection as if it were someone else's, limply at nap time before collapsing into my arms. And the wind already gusting sounds so torn, I fall in love with its sheer force. So determined, it's knocked down a neighbor's tree. The limbs are sprawling, the roots are curly. From here it looks like a crown of hair, hissing with 1,000 snakes, a Medusa, lying at the edge of the pool, thirsty, hunched over, administering care she could never ask of anyone because we were taught to turn before she changed us into stone. The kind of care a woman on the street last night asked of me when she gripped my arm for help getting across. The naked feel of her fingers against my skin, both of us shivering, the traffic loud and unslowing, and when we got to the other side, she wouldn't let go. Beside the movement of the planet, which is impossible to stand apart from, everything felt knitted together, like it was recovering from being unraveled. The first time the baby noticed sunlight reflect off his toy guitar and spin off the wall, he stumbled backwards, so I grabbed him and showed him the patterns light makes. in this case a moving circle, and how when we see it we're struck like a clock face arriving at the hour, a feeling so precise we are in that moment both the rumble and the cuckoo. Even so, at the reservoir, ducks in large flocks bring him to tears. Don't be afraid, I tried to offer. Fear is only a perception, as remote as the Orion constellation in the winter sky, his sword attached to his belt. I find courage to parent. The baby's long black lashes lengthen my vision, because all is the tallest palm trees in need of manganese, like strangers sitting at the same table, on the same screen of God's baby monitor, nestled inside crib bars, sleep settling you down. One more? I was going to do two, but I'm going to do one more. Okay. Kissable oars. I can't wait to tell you about this new thing I learned about myself. I have an indigo aura. Yes, I was so happy. Bright blue with a tinge of purple, the rarest of colors, giving me the ability to hear the ancestors' voices, receive messages, the way a cactus flowers in the desert, storing up water for blooms. To read coincidences like words on a page, not in hindsight, which most other people can do too, but without having to look back. Spherical powers woven from cries in the dark, like the circular patterns on dream catchers. Indigo, the color of the sixth chakra, portrayed as the third eye, inspiring the strobe lights that flickered upon my adolescent body, infrared at house parties once the police arrived. The pineal gland, which Descartes called the seat of the soul, also mentioned 4 times in Exodus and Deuteronomy in commands for tefillin to be worn as frontlets between thine eyes. This very morning, you showed me how to bind the thick leather straps around my arms and hold the prayer box in place. Why are girls excused from this commandment? The word for frontlets in the Bible is tofafot, which refers to jewelry, I wrote to Rabbi Seth, who knows such things. I was still quivering from the sensation of the bands constricting my blood when I wandered into the crystal shop in Laguna. We fled there while the Eaton wildfire lashed our backyard trees, kneeling as they burned. Most people who try to open the 6th chakra never succeed, the aura reader told me. She looked like she spent many days in the sun, her hair bleached white and the skin on her face a web of wrinkles. Maybe she shouldn't have browsed among flowers so much outside. But then again, wouldn't sunlight strengthen her powers like Robert Rauschenberg out in the desert, dreaming up his white paintings as a landing strip for space and sky? Your chakra is already open, she told me, much more than mine. Is it true? I often feel a kind of dizziness wash through me, like my body is only a garment, stained and worn with use, entangled in the arms of other garments, spinning in empty space. Like when I sat out that concert that got bombed, or when a moose blocked my path in Katahdin. Instead of signing my name in the trailhead's ledger and hiking the knife-edge precipice, I turned back after driving 12 hours. It was the only time I ever stayed at an inn in Maine. Complete strangers, you and I bumped elbows and my drink spilled. Have we been converging in a parallax all along? That kind of shattering, that kind of shipwreck?
Harriet Levin Millan, everyone. So, Gabe mentioned Joan earlier. Joan is Joan Cusack Handler. No relation to the Joan Cusack Handler, Joan Cusack Handler of CavanKerry. And she was the founder of the press now a little over 25 years ago in 1999. And what started as a press to develop the writing and pursue the writing of her and her friends and have them have visibility within the communities, ended up into having salons in Jersey and New York. But as the press started to balloon and it got bigger and bigger and more national, where now we are all over America and even in Puerto Rico with who we're publishing. Yes, please, round of applause for that. We have lost a bit of that salon style because of our size. Gabe, how many authors have we published up to this date?
That would be 98.
98, 2 away from 100. So you can imagine how hard it is to pack all 100 authors into a space. So when we have AWP like this every year now, we try to make sure that we have those readings and have something like a salon available for the general public. So again, thank you so much for everyone, for John and Kate for hosting us, and also for you all being here. So without that preamble, now I'm also going to go back to our next reader, who is Kari O'Driscoll. Kari O'Driscoll is a memoirist and brain science fanatic. She is the author of work on grief, parenting, reproductive rights, and mindfulness. She is a mother of young adults and lives in Santa Barbara, California with her partner and 2 pups. Kari O'Driscoll, everybody. Sorry. You can take the thank you back.
It's all good. You're welcome to be human. I prefer you.
This is mine. I was gonna.
Hi, everyone. I'm Carrie.
Oh, hold on.
And I'm going to read from my memoir tonight that came out exactly 5 years ago during the pandemic lockdown. Don't recommend that. If you're going to write a book, don't have it be released during a pandemic lockdown. That's a bad idea. But I'm really proud of this book, and I'm really grateful to CavanKerry for publishing it. And the audiobook came out just a year ago, so I had a great time reading that as well. And one of my kids actually did the sound engineering for it, so it was a family affair. So I'm going to read from the end of the book, so just for a little context. I'm reading about my 2 daughters, Erin and Lauren, and then I also reference my sister Katie, who I essentially became her mother because of things that happened earlier in the book. So here we go. Do they make noise when you walk? Erin stands next to me in the shoe store. She and Lauren are my fashion experts. I never buy a pair of boots or a purse without consulting them first. I laugh out loud, not because this sounds like a ridiculous question, but because I completely understand what she means. In that instant, an image of the 2 of them playing dress up as toddlers fuzzes into my mind. Their arms filled with tulle and satin, they would ferry outfits from the carpeted playroom to the hardwood floor of the kitchen, emptying the dress-up box trip by trip, because that was where the plastic princess shoes made the satisfying clop, clop, clop. Children should be seen and not heard, was a phrase often repeated in my childhood home, except it seemed as though the boys were somehow exempt. They were encouraged to roughhouse and wrestle, yell wildly through a game of cowboys and Indians, holler affirmations, and pump their fists in the air when they won a game of horse. The girls were expected to sit quietly and color, and if we made any sort of exuberant noise, we were shushed. Even before Mom and Dad divorced, I was well versed in the expectations of silent servitude. My job was to anticipate what needed to be done and do it without protest or inquiry. I learned that chatterbox was decidedly not a compliment, that challenging house rules, even in a calm voice, would earn me a quick belt slash across the backside, and that my charm and value rose in direct proportion to how well I conformed and made peace between my siblings. When Dad left and Mom went to work full-time, I was poised to become the one doing the shushing. reminding my little sister Katie to raise her hand in class if she had a question, perfecting the laser eye to still her lips at the dinner table, installing an inner monologue in her head designed to help her determine whether her input was important, necessary, or just noise. When Katie and I were molested, my brain took over and did the shushing without me asking. Automatically, instinctively, my brain must have known that it wouldn't do to upset the grown-ups. Mom had no choice but to pay this woman to watch us while she was at work. I knew she would rather be home with us, and telling would only hurt her and make things worse for everyone. Instead of fighting, I began a months-long campaign to convince Mom that I was responsible enough to be in charge for a few hours after school until she got home. I didn't yell, scream, argue, or debate. I learned to cook and clean. I showed her how much better it would be to come home from work to a hot meal and happy kids than to make us stay at the babysitter's house. I was 8. My report cards reflected how strongly I embraced the notion that my best contributions came about when I listened instead of talked, and did exactly what was expected of me. My teachers noted that I was a team player and silent and attentive in class. Compliance was equated with excellence. After sending our daughter Erin to 4 years of Montessori school, where she was encouraged to think independently and ask lots of questions, her dad and I decided it was time to enroll her in the local public elementary school. For weeks, she came home agitated and upset, bored and frustrated. Most mornings she begged me not to make her go back, but she couldn't articulate why. 6 weeks into the school year, we had our first parent-teacher conference. Sitting in small plastic chairs across the desk from Erin's teacher, I noted that the desk was spotless. The teacher appeared to be in her mid-50s, reading glasses hanging from a brass chain around her neck and a cardigan thrown on her shoulders. She could have been one of my elementary teachers in the 1970s. Erin is an exemplary student. She is quiet in class, pays attention, and turns her homework in on time. She doesn't ask questions or move around. She does exactly what I ask her to. I wish they were all like that. Bile rose in my throat. This was an attempt to surgically remove my daughter's belief that she was allowed to be an active participant in her own life, and replace that with the notion of quiet compliance. The last thing I wanted my daughters to believe was that their most valuable assets came in the form of shutting up and sitting still. I wanted them to question, explore, push beyond the boundaries, express their ideas and opinions without worrying whether they were different, and if being different meant they were wrong. I wanted them to find space for their voices and practice using them. It was my stepmother who taught me the power of my own voice. She was the one to whom I confessed my sordid little secrets. She was the one who took me to my first political rally. She was the first adult who made it a priority to listen to me instead of imploring me to be quiet. She helped me to begin to see my own worth as something that came from inside of me rather than something that was determined by other people. It took me decades to break free of the idea that there were prescribed, acceptable ways for a young woman to make noise on the basketball court or in a cheerful response to a man's question. I absorbed messages from my own family, as well as the confusing cultural signals about when women are allowed to speak up but never speak out, and how to appropriately show emotion without going overboard or risking labels like hysterical or oversensitive. I learned which subjects were feminine. I can remember screaming into a pillow so that I wouldn't bother my mom if she was upset or sleeping. I weighed each syllable I spoke carefully on my tongue before I released it, assessing purpose and premise and potential fallout. Even when I knew something needed to be said, I forced my tongue to the roof of my mouth and took deep breaths, because it wasn't my place. I hadn't been invited. I shouldn't rock the boat. I swore I would raise my daughters differently. Erin convinced me to buy the boots that made noise when I walk. She confessed that part of the reason she loves our house is because it has hardwood floors. She wears her heels all day long, walking purposefully from her room to her sister's room to the bathroom and down the stairs for dinner. Sometimes when I'm in the middle of cooking or working, I stop and look up and smile, listening to the rhythm and cadence of my daughter making noise. Lauren doesn't wear shoes in the house, but she plays her guitar and sings loudly, not caring if the neighbors hear. Dinner time is a tumble of words and opinions and laughter and sometimes shouting. I am teaching my girls that the only thing they need to weigh when they open their mouths to speak is whether what they are about to say is kind, not whether they have any right to speak at all. On the morning of the first day of school, after the girls had left the house, I put on my sneakers and went for a walk. Instead of going along the paved road, I veered off onto a gravel path and listened to the sound of my feet crunching in the still, cool morning air. I love the sound of shoes on a gravel path. It's my reminder. I am here. I am here. I am here. I make noise. I have worth. I am here. I walked and said a silent prayer for my daughters and myself. May our words come clearly and easily. May we always remember to announce our presence with footsteps and sentences and laughter or outrage. May we always stand our ground and know our worth. We are here. We are here. We are here. We make noise. We have worth. We are here.
All right, if we are here, make some noise. All right, we are here, right?
Yes.
All right, I was a middle school teacher before I went into publishing, so if you hear my voice clap once, if you hear my voice clap twice, if you hear my voice clap 3 times. All right, good. Thank you. Next up, we have Cati Porter, and then we'll have a brief intermission while our secret band, lingering somewhere around the other wares, shows up. Cati Porter is a poet, editor, and arts administrator. Her most recent poetry collections are Small Mammals, Novel, and The Body at a Loss by CavanKerry Press. She is the recipient of California Arts Council's Independent Artist Fellowship, so give her a round of applause for that. And she's also locally affiliated in California with the Inlandia Institute. Ladies and gentlemen, here's Cati Porter.
Okay.
You have a book dress on.
You have a book dress?
Oh my.
Everyone take a look at the book dress. Who's the writer? She is.
Books and cats are my life.
Yes.
Yes. Give it up for cats.
Yeah.
And Pearl. Where's Pearl? Our house mascot, Pearl.
Mrs. Pearl, come here. She's
Eating all the food.
Come on, Pearl.
She's a pretty girl.
Thank you, Katie.
Thank you. All right, so that helps me decide what I'm going to read. And thank you to Bridget for giving me a copy of my book to read from. Reading from my phone. Okay. So I'm also a mom of young adults. So I'm going to start with a poem called Where It Begins. It begins again with pancakes, or rather, it begins with the question of pancakes, of whether or not they will have ears. No, it begins like this. Me in my robe at the kitchen table, with coffee, cell phone in my ear, looking out through dirty glass, listening to my work-bound husband. No, it begins with a one-eyed mother cat, languid on the brittle lawn. No, it begins with her 2 orange kittens draped across her skinny belly. No, it begins with peeling my husband's boiled eggs, with pouring his coffee into a travel mug. It begins with seeing him out the door with a quick kiss. No, it begins with waking up in our child's bed, with falling asleep the night before, with our child who could not fall asleep. No, not the youngest, the oldest, heavy in the upper bunk, awake and alone in the dark, in his wakefulness. Actually, it begins with the shared beer, a nodding off on the couch, the trek down the hall, and children with raucous toothbrush songs. No. It begins with the feeding of the inside cats, with outside cats looking in, kittens keening at the window, little kitten ears like funnels taking it all in. No, it doesn't begin here. There is a sudden sound of something opening, a pop, a fizzle, a nuzzle. Soon there are pancakes, some with ears, some without. The day is about to start. There is a moon and stars on the griddle, a constellation of wants, a universe of new beginnings. Administering my dog's cancer therapy, I think about my sons. My thumb and forefinger pinch a pill as I thrust my fist back into his throat. His teeth, a bracelet of blunt tines, rake gently across my wrist. I pull out my hand, sticky with saliva, and hold his mouth closed and stroke his neck until I am certain he has swallowed. At 7 years old, he is 2 years older than my oldest son. He is my oldest son, I tell myself. But of course, he is not. He is just the dog, I remind myself daily, because if he were my son, I would okay the endoscopy, biopsy the lining of his stomach. I would make the drive into the next county for intravenous chemotherapy. Once, he ate reluctantly from my hand chicken breasts boiled for him on my stove. If he were my son, I would not hand feed him the breasts of dead chickens. I would slice off my own, boil them pink to white in my very best pot. I would shred them, feed them to him warm, if only to keep him through the night. Okay. How about another poem about sons, a little older. Reading Miller's essay on tragedy and the common man with my teenage son the night before receiving the radiologist's report. My teenage son struggles to interpret Miller's prose, which to me says nothing more than we're all in this together. That tragedy is not a state reserved for nobility, but instead can inflict us all. So when my son asks me to help with his essay, I happily oblige, because how much longer do I have with him, really? And when Miller cites the psychology of Oedipus and Orestes, I ask and am informed that my son neither wants to marry me nor to kill me. Instead, he just wants to finish the damn essay. So I struggled to translate Miller's turns a phrase into language my son can understand. Mockingjays, and the strategy of applying one's intellect to save one's skin. The drama of loss. When the structure of the essay requires him to choose sides, either with or against Miller, he opts to remain unconvinced, although I suspect that if I had done a better job, he would be more willing to risk being wrong. In the morning, I will pick up the radiologist's report, which will tell me at which particular crossroads I stand. But what good does it do us to fixate on endings when everything depends upon the liminal, the little deaths that happen each day while we wait to live? False alarm. We are gathered together in the lobby of an embassy suites when my stepmom gives us the news. 6 months or so, then she will be gone. That was more than a decade ago, and she's still here. 2 decades passed, her breast sliced cleanly off, the pink pucker of a diagonal scar, the only remnants. And 3 past the last melanoma scare. Her kidney gone rogue, cells took up residence in her lungs, her spleen now gone, part of her kidney gone. She's still here. But each new scan, a fresh start to the death stare. How many addendums can we write into our own obituary? Dear Tio, with the abdominal tumor the size of a grapefruit. Dear Anjo, whose cancer fizzed her brain like pop rocks. Dear Lucy, dear Devin, dear Marion. Not about death. Okay.
That's hilarious.
Okay.
You have to understand your audience.
You have a hospice nurse and a hospice doctor.
That was great.
Good. Okay. How about then, okay. Has anyone here had a barium swallow study? Yeah? Okay. For your amusement, we enter the white-coated room. I in my gown, not beaded, not embroidered. The machine surrounds. The railing on the ceiling moves parts into position. And I, on my feet, before a vertical table, tilt back toward the floor. Hold on. And now I am flat. And now I am a corkscrew on a board. And now I am a log doing a roll. Drink this, they say, and I do. Silly me. White mustachioed, mouth full of chalk. Okay. All right, thank you.
Kari, Harry, and Katie. So, for about the next 10 minutes or so, we'll have an intermission. There are still food and drinks, so go and eat food and drink and be merry, mingle, and then we'll have a very special presentation of music for about 15 or 20 minutes. So go, and if anything needs to be replenished, we'll replenish it. Go have some food, go have a good time. Thank you all, everyone, so far. We're having a good time out here.
Alright, so this is the part where you all continue to do whatever you want. We're just going to play a couple songs that are very, very, very new. And thank you for being here, and I love that this is happening in our home, and the vulnerability and inspiration of all of these poets is really just, I don't know, I've got like a lot of feelings, so.
Woo, feelings!
I'm happy about it. So let's feel things.
Let's do some things.
Alright. New shit. Oh, you can turn this around.
Oh, we're doing that.
Yeah, turn it up. shine. We're gonna do 3 songs just because. They're not, that's the expectation, okay?
Way to set them straight.
Yeah, you never know. Bands are playing, you're like, Jesus God, are they gonna solo for forever? How long are they gonna stay for this poetry? Just kidding, we're all having a great time. Shoot, okay.
And then I did it. That's a candle. Learning of the telephone. There is this and there's Tim. Don't think that's sorry. B to the flat.
Anything you did the other night.
I don't remember either.
Just do whatever you want.
It was midnight. We were
Fuck 'em.
You didn't even tell him the backstory.
Sometimes you don't to take the tell the backstory. I don't know if that's appropriate.
If you end a song with fucking, you need to tell.
Well, just like I'm just.
Not everyone needs the story.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't have time for that.
Sometimes we interpret it.
I like
You
that
know?
story.
It could be AAA.
That's true.
Homage to AAA.
Well, it's always also weird when your friends write about your experiences. You know, this is a room full of writers, so it's just like you always wanna. It can go weird ways. And I sent you that song like a year ago, and I was like, this is bad and annoying, and you were like, no, right on.
Yeah, right
And I
on.
was like,
Right on.
That's why
Right on.
It's weird when people write about your life. Okay, one more, and then let's get back to the
So it's not a AAA story.
This is a different setting. It's
Very churchy.
I need this thing. I need this. It's a different patch.
Okay.
I hate this. Stop it.
I hate that patch.
There's two.
There's two.
We'll see. Alright.
I like the devil's patch. Devil's lettuce.
Give me those
Give me
digits.
devil's lettuce.
That would be maybe helpful.
This is the part where you sing.
Yeah, we need to have the microphone.
I got her.
Thank you. We're good.
Hold on, we got a cable.
Got those pictures? Oh, you gotta sing? Oh, is she singing on this?
She is.
Oh, I
She's
don't need a
singing.
mic. I'll just project or something. No.
Oh, you're getting a mic. This is a professional situation.
Try
This
to
is-
not face the.
This is a high pressure level, let me tell you. This is a drone?
Just the mic over here with the speakers like right behind you, so I just want to make sure it's not.
Testing. Woo! Anyways, thank you all for being here. I don't know like so many of you, but I'm really happy here. We're having a good time.
We're not worthy.
They're here anyway.
Nobody knows.
Okay, everyone, are we all ready for the second half of the CavanKerry reading? As a reminder, after the reading, there will be a little bit of an open mic for everyone else to share. So if you have anything to get off your chest, a poem, a haiku, a song, a jig, that's something that we can do at the end. You know, stuff's gonna get really funny after that 9:30 time. So we have 3 readers coming up. We're going to have first, I'll read the bios, but first I want a round of applause for each. So first we're going to have Denise Tolan. Afterwards, munching on some cake, we're going to have Bridget Bell. And how's the cake?
It's good, get some.
Okay, good. Everyone gotta go get some. She co-signed it. Okay.
It's
Yes.
worth it.
Excellent, excellent. And then lastly we have Nadia Alexis. And before I get ahead of myself, let me start reading bios because I will be up here for a while. Okay, so Denise Tolan is a wonderful human being, and I'm going to fill in gaps while I'm getting her bio. She actually, you know, funny thing about Denise, I think we were on a Zoom once, or it was your book launch, your virtual book launch, and she was sipping from like this Italian coffee mug. It was purple, it was like engraved or like embossed, and it was so beautiful, and I complimented her on it. And then about 5 months later, I got a box from USPS from Denise Tolan.
Oh!
And it's that same tea mug. So now we're tea brothers and sisters
Aww,
across
it was
the...
a new one, it wasn't the used one.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Oh my gosh.
I'm kidding.
Okay, all right, so good. We're still kindred spirits. I think about you every time I use it. Denise Tolan's work has been included in places such as the Penn Review, Apple Valley Review, Atlas and Alice, Lunch Ticket, and the Best Small Fictions. Denise was a finalist for Best of the Net and the International Literary Awards, Penelope Niven Prize in Nonfiction. Her memoir, Italian Blood, which she will be reading from tonight, was a finalist for the 2024 Eric Hoffer Book Award and the Reader's Choice Awards. Everyone, here is Denise Tolan.
Wow, everyone loves following the band. I am going to be reading, as Dimitri said. How's that?
Good.
From Italian Blood, which I just have to show you. I think they did such an incredible job with the cover.
Beautiful.
I love it so much. And I love them so much. If you ever get an opportunity to work with the press, I hope it's them. Amazing people, amazing care. I can't read with my glasses on, so I don't know what I'm doing. I don't think this needs a lot of intro. The basis of this essay was a look at how sometimes trauma can lodge itself in women's bodies. And mine happened to coincide with a series of little things that were erupting inside of me. So obviously, since Italian, I was always think of Vesuvius when you think of things erupting. And the essay kind of goes along with that, but it's called Things That Go Boom. My father was not a good man. Let's get that out of the way right away. Still, when he got sick and they admitted him into the hospital, all of us kids ran to his side. He did not deserve such love. We did it for each other, I think. We did it out of curiosity about what could fell someone so seemingly infallible. We did it because what else do you do? He was our father. When the doctor came into the room, we were all cutting up, trying to pull salvageable stories from our youth out of a bag fraught with holes. Is it okay if I speak in front of your family? The doctor said. My father nodded yes. Your tests indicate stage 4 renal cancer. It's progressed past the point of treatment. As soon as I leave here, I'm sending hospice in to meet with you. The prognosis for conditions such as yours is generally 6 to 4 months. Might as well take me to Vesuvius and drop me in, my father finally said, cheaper that way. Some of us laughed. He's never been to Vesuvius, my mother whispered to me, as if that was a problem with what he'd said. He was kidding, I told her. Forse, she said, maybe. Mount Vesuvius erupted close to once a century from 79 AD through 1037 AD. Then she fell silent for 600 years. Our family has always had a strange fascination with Vesuvius. I guess it's because our family history mimics the history of Pompeii. Our family could live together in relative calmness for weeks, even months, until something would happen to make my father erupt and shower upon us the pent-up anger packed inside of him. In the aftermath of his explosions, there were casualties and scars to deal with. But like the people who live in the shadow of Vesuvius, my family always came back, eager to rebuild. This time there would be no rebuilding. We took my father home to die. He didn't go easily. In the last 2 weeks of his life, when he was at his weakness, he could summon superhuman strength to try and escape. He'd take my mother's car keys, or sneak out the utility room door, or walk into the backyard and try to squeeze through loose boards in the fence. It got so bad that when the doorbell rang, we'd have to watch him, like we used to watch our dog who liked to bolt whenever fresh air hit her face. My brother and I ended up being the ones who chased my dad home, just to drag him back in bed so he could die where he was supposed to. He's running away from death, my mother whispered. We nodded solemnly, as if somehow that made sense. At night, we took turns sleeping at my parents' house. The hospice folks placed my father's final bed in the living room, where he rested like a body already in state. At night, watching my father's restless sleep, I waited for the boato, the enormous roar a volcano makes when it blows. I wanted a dramatic moment before my father turned cold. I needed to feel the heat of his apology for the shattered lives he'd left in the wake of the previous eruptions. His restless sleep told me he was roiling inside, but when he left this earth it was soft, like ash that can still suffocate long after the event is over. Had my father simply been a bad guy, his death might have been the end of him. But it was more complicated than that. As often as he terrorized us, he also loved us. He was the parent who liked to play board games, ride the rides at theme parks, and find out-of-the-way diners where we could eat onion rings and drink malts while he told silly jokes. My father loved us unconditionally, even though he could have killed us in his hottest moments of rage. His anger was one of those random things, like the path a lava flow decides to take. A few months after my father died, I spotted a car that reminded us of the family car we'd had when I was a child. It was a light turquoise color, impossible not to notice. My father was always worried my brother and I would lean on the car doors and fall out, so he purchased external locks for the car doors. After we got in the car and closed the door, he would slide the silver locks into place like I imagined jailers turned a key. After moving from Italy to the United States, my family drove across the country in the summers, and when it was good, it was the best. My father loved to sing, and if he was singing Dean Martin, we would all sing along. But when I heard him start to moan endless sleep with that Hank Williams sound, I could see black clouds forming in the car. I've heard that some volcanic eruptions are soft, with oozing streams of lava dancing down the side of the volcano like a Las Vegas chorus line. My father's eruptions were quick, like bricks being thrown through a window. "I'm sick of this family," he would yell out of nowhere while we were driving on a mountain road without guardrails in Colorado. "I'm gonna drive us off this road, swear to God, all of us. None of you assholes deserves to live." With the locks in place outside my door, I was as good as buried alive. My mother would cry gently, as if the ash had already suffocated and rendered her useless. Over the years, my father would threaten to drive us off many roads and bridges, burn down our house, and poison our family. And though he never did, we lived in the shadow of the possible eruption. These days, well over 1 million people live in the shadow of Mount Vesuvius. Ancient Pompeii is now a modern city spelled with one I. People probably call Vesuvius a mountain instead of a volcano to make themselves feel better, or maybe even to forget. Experts say Vesuvius will erupt again. Some say it is past due for a cataclysmic eruption. In the meantime, the people who live near the volcano go to work each day and shop for groceries and possibly even go bowling from time to time. Will this generation take the hit? Will it be the next? When you live in the shadow of a volcano, no one is safe. Nothing is predictable. Things eventually erupt. Things eventually go boom.
Give it up again for Denise Tolan. Now, I have another note before we move on. We've been thanking both John and Kate for this wonderful venue. This wouldn't have existed though without our next author, which is Bridget Bell, so give her a round of applause. When we were trying to find an offsite and everything was either too expensive or too far away, and we were basically SOL without a venue, and we were not going to have one. I was telling the authors that we weren't going to have one, and when I got to Bridget, she was like, I have an idea. And then she was like, I have an idea because my best friend Kate has an idea. So if it wasn't for the collaborative effort of community, we wouldn't be able to have spaces like this. So please give a round of applause just for the sake of community in the arts. Because without said community, whether it's music, whether it's art, whether it's literature, it doesn't feed those other pockets of folks that exist outside of those spaces, right? They talk about arts being on the fringes, but it's actually things outside the arts that are on the fringes, and it's the artists like us that actually bring everyone together and unify everyone. So yes, please, give a round of applause for that. Kicked off the soapbox, and now Bridget Bell's poetry collection, All That We Ask of You Is to Always Be Happy, by CavanKerry Press 2025, which explores maternal mental health, was called an urgent, clear-eyed debut by the New York Times Book Review, guys. A recipient of a North Carolina Arts Council Artist Support Grant, she also teaches composition and literature at Durham Technical Community College, bartends at a local brewery, and proofreads for Four-Way Books, a literary press based in Manhattan, and probably does many other things. You can also find her online at BridgetBellPoetry.com. Ladies and gentlemen, Bridget Bell.
Thank you so much. Hi. I was not planning on reading this poem. But it is about volcanoes. Yes. Ironically. And so I have to read it. So I want to raise this a little bit, but I don't know how.
I got you, girl. Oh,
I'm kind of tall.
in the house.
Nothing I've ever said. Yeah, it's perfect. So when I was in undergrad, I studied French, and I spent a month in Martinique, which is an island in the Southern Caribbean, and they have a volcano tragedy that a lot of people don't know about. So this poem references that tragedy among many, many other things. So this poem is called Dear New Mother. Dear new mother, in the future, Colorado is burning. And this time, not the forests, but home after home after home. Children's charred climbing trees, so much like charcoal sketched fingers, and ash drifts like leftover snow, gray and perpetual on the side of the road. This, I'm sure you understand. How one day you can be buoyant, inside lavender steam, your body built up to the precipice of new life, and then you ignite, erupt, melt down. Everyone knows the warnings of Smokey the Bear, the history lessons about Pompeii, Chernobyl. Yes, I'm comparing apples to oranges to bananas, wildfires to volcanoes to power plants. It's all the same. To the people from Pripyat who walked to the bridge and watched the flames, their upturned faces in awe as they filled their palms with the particles of their own death. Even if that part is myth, the end is the same. Still, history loves romantic tragedy, which makes me wonder why more people don't know Pele. 29,000 died, an entire saint city destroyed, and the incredible story of Ludger Silabri, imprisoned for a drunken brawl, held in solitary confinement. The perfect parallel to motherhood. In a bomb-proof room, safe underground, while stone statues hurled from their perches. Call it irony, call it coincidence, a miracle, dumb luck. Silabri lived because of his prison. Call it rescued by cold stone walls. I know a nurse will urge you to sit by a window for vitamin D, as if that could fix your sorrow. But instead, heed Silabri's story. Sometimes the last thing you need is a window and sunshine. Sometimes you need to turn your back to the volcano. Search the walls with your hands until you find a narrow grate through which you can breathe. I'm not keeping, will one of you give me a wave when it's 10 minutes? Okay, cool. So I'm not.
I'll give you a sign when you have 2 minutes left.
Okay, cool,
Yeah,
thanks. I'm not keeping track of time. Who's keeping track of time?
I am.
Maybe
Dimitri.
Come on.
Time has no meaning. This is the first poem in the book, and it's called Directive for Women Who Are Not Yet Mothers, but Will Become Mothers. I say some bone names. I'm looking at the medical people. Will you judge me if I mispronounce the bone names?
Go for it.
Okay. Soon you will be mired in layers of din. Your body's smallest bones, malleus, incus, stapes, stirrup-shaped, will shake to the sound of phantom milk cries. So stop now, while there is still this mercy of no one needing you. And listen to the zip of white leather boots. Flaunt them with a storm stop, like lightning, while your eardrums crack to the bass of 3 a.m. dance floors. Because soon your world will spin on the axis of your breasts. 2 heavy cuffs, prolactin like flash floods, or the reverse, a drought, and the body's fuck you refusal to make milk. So pause in front of a full-length mirror and admire the peach blossom, sand dune, deep taupe cabernet of your nipples, before new pigment paints them a different color. Admire your breasts while they are still your breasts, not yet udders. Hold them, drape them in tulip silk, caviar lace, smoke, and ash. Soon your eyes will burn like cellophane, the curl and melt, the twitch and spasm, optic nerve desperate for rest. So slow this down, blink, blink again. Dust your upper lid in gold, copper for the crease, smudge charcoal, sweep the lashes jet black. Cherish the body of the woman you will never be again. What'd you say? Okay, I'm gonna read, this is a longer poem, it's in parts, and it's called Origin Stories. 1. Gray smog hovers over the ridges of our brains. We live inside scraps of sleep, sick for hibernation's closed-eyed amnesia. 2. The doctor complains about the cold air conditioning, wraps a warmed blanket around her shoulders. I vomit in a dish. Blood and piss mix in my catheter bag. 3. We are not mothers. We are childless women pretending to be mothers. We wear the mother mask. These babies are not our own. 4. There was no pain. The pain was everything. I squatted by the garden, wetness slid down my thigh, then drugs into my veins, my slim pelvic bone and its too tight frame. 5. Didn't we always want to gaze at a face that echoes our own? But a muted haze nets the hot black night. Salt-rich sweat swamps our eyes. We feed the babies, half blind. 6. The doctor teases me. You're lucky. He laughs. Good thing it's 2014 and not 1814. 200 years ago and you'd be dead. 7. Our heads hang on our necks like thirsty flowers, like our spines are snapped, like we are deep in prayer to the baby who has become the only God. 8. My homework is to make a birth plan. Lemon-infused ice chips, massage the perineum, sip raspberry leaf tea. My proposal does not unfold accordingly. 9. No shit, they weren't joking when they said nothing would be the same. Naked stomach like an empty sack, and the hyenas howling below our dangling feet. 10. Welcome to the land of fantasy. I dream I leave with the stars, follow their amber iris eyes, sneak out with a tiptoe creep, then pedal to the metal in my old CRV. 11. In reality, our nipples are bleeding. Our bodies dispel 9 months worth of built up blood. 12. Some nights I bow over the crib, almost prostrate. I whisper, you have changed everything, and I hate you for it. Then shame and its thorny arms. Okay, I have to tell you guys something. There's 2 sections that are numbered 12, back to back. And I don't think I did that on purpose, but I kind of love it. And I think that's what was meant to happen.
You fooled us.
12. It's like a broken leg. A callus bridges the fracture so the bone can heal, but it's never quite the same. Residual ache in the relentless rain. That's probably time, right?
Yes, that's beautiful.
I have to tell you guys one more thing though. When I was preparing for this and I was reading that poem, because I haven't ever read that poem at a reading before, I realized that I have two poems in this book back to back that have the word perineum in them. And I don't know what that means. But I think it's a good sign.
One more round of applause for Bridget. So, Gabe, I think we got some explaining to do about that 12 and 12. We never talked about it, and it just, I don't know. All right, are y'all with us? All right, okay. We are reaching the final reader of our evening, Nadia Alexis. Nadia Alexis, and I will say first that for any poet out there or any author that has a book or is going to have a book, Nadia Alexis is also a fellow of the Poets and Writers Publishing Incubator, and she has been an animal in terms of marketing her own book, so please give her a round of applause. It has been off the chain, and I can't wait to see what the rest of the year holds. Nadia Alexis, no pressure, by the way. Nadia Alexis is an award-winning poet, writer, and photographer born in Harlem to Haitian immigrants. She is the author of Beyond the Watershed, a debut hybrid poetry and photography collection that explores generational trauma, domestic violence, healing, and reclamation. A fellow of Callaloo and the Watering Hole, she lives in Mississippi, where she teaches creative writing. Everyone, Nadia Alexis.
I kind of want to sit down.
Yeah. I was thinking no one's used the chair.
I was sitting down at a reading in Mississippi the other day, so I kind of want to do that again.
Here, I got it. Does that work? You got that?
Yes. I have it.
Yeah.
See, she's a pro, I told you.
Okay. I like to start with the title poem, so some of you have heard that the other day, but okay, Watershed. I arrive at my father's feet, a dying mapu tree. He covers his eyes with mud while goats feast on my fallen hair. I hear my mother call for the Lord to send just enough rain for our lungs and her carnation to see a new season. My mother always said, boys are best at taking. I once loved a boy who turned pomegranates in my yard into salt. In the mirror, I see a donkey's head without a home. Daisies dance atop her hair, and she teaches me how to wail for cover. My mother and I kneel on uncooked rice. Sweat of our hands no longer remembers its owner. Our knees become prunes. One night I see my father weep and rock like a forgotten river. How he must know what it's like to fight against disappearance. The longer I stay in the home my lover and I built on this mountain, the more I tire of circadian leaps into the field of cacti. Every year Lake Azuye rises and forces change on the trees and birds and people of the watershed. They no longer believe the water will lead them. I spend nights running from hail in the company of vultures. I make peace with the ways my father and I look away from errors and ruin. My parents make rituals of warnings, and I follow in their footsteps anyway. My mother says I can build a new home from clouds, and I believe her. This next one is called From Haiti to New York. And actually the cover of the book makes me think of this poem, because the landscape on the left and then the cityscape on the right. From Haiti to New York. The Pote sun was hiding that day. I was on my way to work. He was standing on his porch, his eyes trailing me like the wind. His cheeks stood upright as he bid me bonjour each morning. I always smiled, bid him the same, and kept walking until one day he asked me, "D'aller me éviter à manger?" And this time I stopped, told him he must meet my parents before he could take me to dinner. Without a second thought, he agreed. That day I floated to work like a child. My parents approved of this man who came to our home with clean, unfurled hands. Our love was a rooster's song, sudden as lightning. His heart was made of mangoes and sugar cane. His heart was made of mangoes and sugar cane. I didn't mean to read that again. Looking up and trying to look back down, I'll be losing my space.
It's a good line to read twice. We married during a year without a surge in a Catholic church whose name I can't remember. Our parents looked on in wells of joy, knowing little of the future that would strip us in the palm of its hands. Cola la calle and bouillon waited for us in the reception hall. We danced into the signing of the book that sealed the pact we would honor, even when the universe begs us not to, on its knees, with tears on its back. He flew to New York and built a home where I joined him, brim-bellied with life. When I gave birth to a quiet death, I also gave birth to you. Never marry someone like your father. Whippings from his gravel tongue leave stains I can't scrub away. His hands rip the soul from my chest as we struggle to learn English, raise you girls, and work to keep the rain off our heads. Don't be like me. I'm married too soon. There is no love here, and the misery that lives in this home is nothing the good Lord would want. I'm gonna read this poem because someone requested it. I haven't read this poem out loud, so we'll see how this goes. Definition. Dust silences the sky as braids unravel atop me. Tonight I consider the burdens of a shadow. Each section of the hair is judged by how much it can bend and make itself beautiful enough to provide definition. What is a living thing without some kind of darkness? Each curl strives to be something memorable and solitary, yet willing to make space for growth of neighbors, even ones that may not make it past the next leaf wall. The more I long to disappear places of my origin, the more scars follow and ask to be remembered. As days leave, so do some definitions. If running towards light makes a shadow too big, how can I make this home of avoidance one of survival? With the risk of becoming a tree's bark of opacity, I add water and oil and consider how to style these strands I've been given. I'm going to read a poem I haven't read in a while. That's called How to Be Friends with a Sex Worker. Yes.
One. I will say this. This is a younger person, so this is from when I was in college. So we were college age, so it's a bit complex. But yes, I think by the time I get to the end of the poem, you'll be maybe saying yes. How to be friends with a sex worker. 1. Sit in the diner, wait for her to arrive, gaze at the sun in the wall, pull out your phone, slide your thumb across the screen, look up and smile when she walks through the door. In 2 weeks, she is 19, Watch her search through lips and eyes undone with hunger. Wave your hand, stand. Oh, is that my phone? No. Okay. Wave your hand, stand as she walks to the table. Listen to the screech of home and the hug you share. Ask her how she's doing. Sit down. Watch her hair bend in the August of her fingers. She tells you she's tired, but she's good. She asks you what's new. You tell her about the latest fight you're having with your man. She shakes her head and laughs. She tells you about the Craigslist date she had last night and how her pimp took all the money. Bread crumbles in your hand. 2. Jump when you hear the ring. See an unfamiliar number appear on your screen. Pick up the phone, try to hide the worry in your voice. Say hello. Her voice is loaded with bricks. She says he left her stranded. He took her purse, no phone, no money, no cigarettes. She is in New Jersey. She is cold, he is gone, she is crying. You are not breathing. You close your eyes and curse him again. She tells you he wants to teach her a lesson. You ask her what she needs you to do. She says she'll figure it out and call back. She doesn't. You try to sleep but can't. The sun rises. You call her phone again. He picks up. You ask him where she is. He calls you a bitch and tells you to mind your business. You call him a piece of shit, promise him he will pay, demand to speak to her. He sucks his teeth and click. You call back, he hits ignore. You call again, he picks up. He passes her the phone. She says hello, you ask if she's okay. Your chest is lava. She says she's okay now. You sigh and tell her there's no home in this life. She tells you not to worry and that she's really okay. 3. It's spring break. You meet her at a bar. It's been weeks since you last spoke. You're late. She looks at you in annoyance. You laugh and apologize. She tells you she's left him. You inhale. She works for herself now. That's it.
Wow.
One more? Okay. Ooh, this is almost my time, so. Okay, I'm gonna end on this poem. I think this is fine. It's called Language. And it's a palindrome poem that I actually wrote in January Gill O'Neill's class when I was ever a student at the University of Mississippi. And she's our press mate, so. It's a mirror poem, so the first half of the poem is the same as the second half, but it's in reverse. Language. The ocean swallowed a father, my father's father whole. His father ate too many hearts of chicken and women. He ate his children, my father one of them. By the time my mother and father walked by the same tree, he was born again into new skins. My father is multilingual. He knows the cadence of clouds after memoration, the language, algebra equations, American, English, rough hands, Haitian Creole, turnbacks and laughter. He taught me how to eat the sun in my own. He taught me how to eat the sun in my own tongue. How to eat the sun in my own tongue, turnbacks and laughter. He taught me English, rough hands, Haitian Creole, algebra equations, American after memoration. The language, he knows the cadence of clouds into new skins. My father is multilingual. By the same tree, he was born again by the time my mother and father met his children. My father, one of them. Too many hearts of chicken and women. He ate my father's father whole. His father ate the ocean and swallowed a father. Amen.
The ancestors have spoken. Keep it going for Nadia Alexis. Keep it going for Bridget Bell. Keep it going for Denise Tolan. Keep it going for Cati Porter, who left, but she's still here in spirit. Keep it going for Harriet Levin Millan, and keep it going for Kari O'Driscoll. And keep it going for Kate and John for hosting us and telling us that even though 10 o'clock is the end of the reading, it can go past 10 o'clock, so thank you. Everyone, this has been the featured presentation of CavanKerry Press at AWP 2025. Thank you so much for tuning in and being here for this salon, and give yourselves a round of applause for not being catatonic and being such a great and receptive audience at 10 o'clock at night. And I'm saying this because I'm time-stamping it because this will go on our YouTube channel as well. At this point in time, can all the authors that are still present here follow Gabe out into the food?